Hi guys, it's the Literary Prepper back again. Just wanted to talk to you guys today about water, toothpaste and fire. Three very random and not often clumped together things, but you'll see where I'm going with this in a minute. So you hear me crap on about water a lot because water is important. You can't live very long without it, particularly in our weather where it can be disgustingly hot. You're looking at a couple of days. I don't even think you would last 3 days in our heat sometimes because it's just disgusting. So obviously we've got water that we store at home in case of emergencies. But at the moment I'm sort of struggling a little bit about what to do as far as what to keep in my car, because there's been a lot of people talking at the moment about how if you keep bottled water in your car, then it's going to leach nasty chemicals into the water and you'll wind up with all sorts of lovely cancers from chemical poisoning and whatnot, which is never ideal, no matter what kind of situation you're dealing with. So we don't really get canned water in Australia. It's very, very difficult to find. So these guys are usually the go-to. So the exact plastic bottled varieties that everyone's sort of saying at the moment that you can't keep in your car because they'll leach the nasty chemicals into the water. Turns out that that's not completely true. Yes, plastic is bad and you want to sort of avoid where possible, but apparently the plastics that they're worried about being leached into the water in your car over a hot day are actually from like the really big water bottles that you see attached to like office water filters. They're not really like your PET bottles that you see used as sort of normal like soft drink or water bottles. Still not great to leave them in your car though, for two reasons. One, if you've opened it and started to drink out of it, then it's a brilliant breeding ground for bacteria. But I also found a number of really interesting videos on how to start a fire with a water bottle. So that's something that I had never really had to deal with before, because obviously you try to avoid leaving plastic bottles in the car because it makes the car look messy, and you don't sort of want to be creating a breeding ground for bacteria or apparently drinking water that has nasty plastic chemicals in it. But there are actually quite a number of YouTube videos out there that I will link you to, where they show people starting fires, particularly in their cars, from plastic water bottles, just from the refraction of the sunlight coming through and hitting the bottle on a certain angle. So that's also quite scary. It now becomes a safety issue. The other thing that you can do is buy the glass water bottles that you see in supermarkets. I can't remember the brand name, but there are a couple of glass water bottles out there. They are more expensive, so for the same price that you would pay for between 5 and 10 litres of water, you're paying for one, if that. So as a one-off expense, if that's where you want to go, then fine, but glass also breaks, so it's not ideal. The other option that I did consider was this one. Now, I can't really turn it around to not include the brand because they're clever about that. But so these are the ones that I try to buy because they really are small. They're sort of cupboard size type thing, so you can sort of squeeze them in whenever you've got some spare space. But in there is just, you can hear it squishing around, is just a sack of water. I did think about the possibility of leaving this in my car, but again, you're looking at the plastic situation because the bag inside is plastic. So, and that's 5 liters of water, so if something were to puncture it, that would take a lot of drying out, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that kind of embuggerance just yet. So as far as the water issue goes, I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and stick a couple of plastic water bottles in with my bug out bag. I'm, sort of leaning on the whole, if it's in a bag, then the light's not going to get to it, therefore it's not going to be a fire hazard, so we don't have to worry about that sort of thing. But in an emergency situation, if I am forced to drink the water that is left in the car, then I don't think I'm going to be immediately concerned with the long-term effects of anything that might be in that water. So you sort of got to weigh up your long-term options as opposed to your short-term options. But if you're in a situation where you have to drink the water in your car, and in some cases the water in your car, so there have been sort of people who have been trapped out in the middle of the desert sort of thing, when the car's broken down and they've had to drink the water out of the radiator or out of the little windscreen wiper dealy, which again is, if it was a normal sort of situation, you would never consider doing it, but in a survival situation you do what you need to do to get through it. So you just have to weigh up what's more important to you at the time. But toothpaste. So I don't know how this popped into my little brain, but somehow I sort of wound up sort of considering what would happen with different types of toothpastes. So everyone knows that they have to brush their teeth to keep their teeth all nice and healthy and stuff. And obviously you don't want to go without toothpaste in an emergency situation, because everyone's going to already be very smelly very quickly if you don't have soaps or deodorants or anything to wash yourself with. So whether that's extra water for washing or wet wipes or a combination of both. I have a combination of both because wet wipes are convenient, but they're not thorough, and you do have to sort of figure out what to do with them after you've used them, like any other sort of waste. But I like Colgate. I'm a brand snob. I like the minty freshness that comes with these guys, and every now and then you can pick up the tubes for really cheap. This cost me $3.50 yesterday, so that's a lot of toothpaste for $3.50 these days. That's nearly 200 grams worth. So toothpaste doesn't really expire to my knowledge, so that can 2020 it says. Oh, we'll ignore that. So that's going away in stores because I want to be minty fresh no matter what. However, as much as I love the minty freshness, I also have really sensitive teeth. So if you don't want to be in a situation where you have to deal with a sensitive tooth issue, I know it's not going to be number one on your priority list, but if you're uncomfortable, that's going to affect morale, and it's going to sort of slowly chip away at the entire workings of your survival plan. So consider packing things like sensitive toothpaste. This one's again a Colgate one, but there's like Sensodyne, and I don't know, you can look at the shops. There's plenty of different toothpaste brands that have a sensitive tooth option that sort of aim to make your experience a little bit more comfortable. So that's an option there. The third option that you may want to consider, even just for day-to-day sort of use, I picked up this stuff. It's called My Magic Mud, and it's a basically a charcoal powder. So let's see if I can very, very carefully open it up. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's pretty much just black powder. So it's called My Magic Mud, And I got this from a health food store in the shopping centre a little while ago. After seeing all the Facebook ads for, you know, this magic tooth whitening powder. So it's got some essential oils added to it. So, you know, it does sort of, it's not just like brushing your teeth with dirt sort of thing. Like, it actually, you know, has a very, very mild flavour to it. It obviously doesn't leave you feeling minty fresh, but it does clean your teeth quite thoroughly. I'm not really sure if that's put down to the detoxing effects of the charcoal, or if that's because when you brush your teeth with it, it actually turns your teeth black, and you've really got to concentrate hard on getting all of the black stuff off your teeth, so you pay a little bit more attention rather than just sort of, okay, I'm done. You've actually got to scrub, you know, a little bit more to try to get all the black off your teeth, because it will stick to like a disclosure tablet. If, you know, you guys have ever had those where you sort of crunch them up and the pink stuff sticks to all the plaque, it works a little bit like that. So if you miss a spot, it will stay black and you have to sort of go back and scrub it off. It's good for compact storage, obviously. You only sort of need like the tip of your toothbrush to be, you know, covered with this stuff, or it comes with like this teeny tiny little spoon where you have like, you know, the tip of your fingers worth sort of thing. So that will last a very, very long time if that's all you have. So if you're looking at something that's easy to carry, that doesn't take up a lot of space, maybe sort of buy a container of that and try it and see if you like it. Just remember, guys, like, if we're talking about planning for an emergency situation, you want to be comfortable, because, you know, when you sort of hear the stories of people who have been in prisoner of war camps or concentration camps, or, you know, other sort of emergency situations where they've been trapped in a particular situation, people start getting sick and they start dying once their minds start to go. If you have a strong belief that you are safe where you are, or that you're at least, you know, grateful to be alive where you are, and, you know, you've got a good group of people around you that can keep your spirits up, then you're going to fare much, much better than someone who's uncomfortable and in pain and, you know, just sort of existing. Because, you know, those are the people who, you know, they give up, and you don't want to be that kind of person. You want to be happy. And part of that is making sure that, you know, you keep everything as familiar as possible. So buy and stock up on the brands that you use on a day-to-day basis. Don't buy a lesser alternative brand just because it's cheap. If that's your preferred brand, then buy it. But if it's not, then buy your preferred brand, because that's what you use on a daily basis. That's what you're used to. Or you can even go the other way if you want and buy the super expensive posh stuff to stock up on, but, you know, that's your choice if you do that. But yeah, don't sort of cheap out, and don't automatically go to an alternative that you're not going to be happy with, or that your family is not going to be happy with. So as I said before, I'll link you guys to those videos where they can light things on fire using bottles of water, because I thought that was really cool. And yet, sort of have a bit of a think about water storage in your car and what is suitable for your area. Some areas it's going to be a problem because the containers are potentially going to freeze and leak, and that's, again, not what you want. But in other areas, like in our area, we're looking at the possibility of storing water in a car that, you know, I don't know what the temperatures get to, but there was a stunt that someone did a little while ago where they took a piece of lamb down to, I think it was Bondi, and roasted it in the car. Those are the temperatures that I'm looking at storing water in my car, but I think I'm just going to have to go the way of the plastic bottle and just sort of hope that I never actually have to use it. Maybe, you know, pour it back into the engine if I have, you know, a low windscreen wiper thing one day, but hope that I never actually have to drink the water in the car. But it's there in case, and that's what all of this is about, you know, being prepared just in case. And the toothpaste options. So as I said, stock up on your preferred brand of toothpaste, whatever that may be. Make sure you also stock up on toothbrushes, and just as a general sort of guide, I think you're supposed to change your toothbrush like every, you know, couple of months or something. So make sure that, you know, you sort of stock up enough toothbrushes so that your whole family actually have them, but also remembering that other people are not going to be doing this. So an extra toothbrush when you're bartering could be worth quite a lot. So I probably would stay away from like the 10-pack sort of family packs of toothbrushes, just because once that pack's open, unless you've got a large group, if you've got a large group it probably makes sense, but if there's only maybe, you know, 3 or 4 of you, then those extra toothbrushes are going to have to be stored somewhere somewhat hygienically, which can, you know, be a bit of an issue depending on what your situation is. So maybe try to buy either the singles or the ones in maybe like the 2 or 3 packs, but I wouldn't go any bigger than that unless you are prepping for a larger group where you know that once that packet's open, all of the toothbrushes are going to be used or used to barter with. So consider some alternative toothpaste options as well. And that goes for a lot of other things. So if you can think of something that is a little bit sort of outside the box, that's a little bit more of a an every now and then product or a bit more of a luxury product, just it's handy to have them just in case, because you may never know if you actually need one just from day-to-day living, but you never know when you know, it all sort of, you know, disintegrates into chaos. You never know who you're going to run into who's, you know, going to be desperate for that particular product that you just happen to throw in on a whim. And yeah, even if it's just for fun, I mean, this stuff I don't think was very cheap, but there's a lot of it. So I think it was around $20 or $30. So, I mean, give it a go if that's your thing. It's something to consider. So that was the Magic Mud Charcoal Toothpaste. So that's, you know, basically what I wanted to go over with you guys for today. If you found this helpful, feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. If you've got any comments or questions, just pop them down below, and I'll see you guys next time.